Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we'll be answering a couple of listener questions, and that's about it. So go ahead and stick around. Okay, like I mentioned, we are only going to be answering some viewer-submitted or listener-submitted questions today. I checked the news for the last 2 weeks. It didn't appear that there was anything that would be very impactful for the majority of creators. So we'll just go forward and see if there's anything interesting next week. But until next week, I will be answering questions, so let's jump to my favorite part of the show already, the Ask Bandrew segment. Now we are in the Ask Bandrew segment. Welcome! If you have any questions that you want answered, head over to askbandrew.com. There are instructions on how to send in audio, video, and voice-based questions. I do prefer video and audio because then I don't have to read, you don't have to listen to me read, and we get to listen to how you sound on your audio gear, which is always a ton of fun. Again, that is askbandrew.com. First email comes from James, and he says, "Hey Bandrew, love your channel. It helped me and helped me help others with mic selections for the last few years. I was curious what this mic is that Crime Junkie is using. Looks like the Neumann BCM705. Wasn't sure, though, with the windscreen on it. Any help would be appreciated." Then he followed up. "I was wondering if you could let me know what PodSave America is using in this photo. And also, do you know the mic being used by Fantasy Focus? Any chances to do a review on it?" James, thank you very much for the question. If you are watching the video, I will throw up the pictures that he sent in, the screenshots. The first one does appear to be either the Neumann BCM705, which is the dynamic, or the Neumann BCM104, which is their condenser microphone version, which is in the same body, just a different capsule. I have not tried out the BCM104, but I would be fascinated in it. The second thing I need to say is, please, for the love of God, charge your phone. That is triggering, because it looks as though you have 1% left on your phone battery. What are you, a psychopath? Plug your damn phone in, James. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to prove? Don't be a hero, James. Charge your phone. Golly. Sorry. Secondly, we have a picture, which I believe this is from PodSave America, maybe? Yeah, this is the second photo you sent in. To me, that appears to be the Sennheiser E835, or perhaps the E935. It's one of the Sennheiser handheld mics. You can tell by the shape of the body, the color of the body, and then the black ring right where the grill meets the body. That is one of those Sennheisers. I am going to guess E835 or E935. They could be, there's really no way to know because they all have the same body. Could be, I don't think it would be the 945 because I think that has a different color. I don't have that handy right now, so I can't really comment on that. And the third photo you sent in from Fantasy Focus. Okay, I had it right. Some kind of wireless microphone. I have no idea what it is. Looking at it though, I was looking right at the edge of the grill. It appears that there's a little silver thing there, and that reminded me a lot of Audio-Technica's more affordable microphones, the handheld mics. This is their condenser microphone, but I do not believe this is what is in the Fantasy Focus podcast because the grill is more squared off. That appears to be more of a rounded screen. So it's probably going to be pure speculation, don't know, based on the AT2020 as an indicator of the design of Audio-Technica's handheld microphones. I would say maybe the AT, 1050? Whatever their $50 to $60 handheld dynamics are, I believe that is probably going to be what it is. If I can find a photo, I will, or if I can go grab the microphone, I don't know where it is. I have to check my document of my catalog of microphones and find out exactly where I have it. But that would be my guess there. An Audio-Technica handheld dynamic. because it's definitely not the 2010 with the shape grill in that photo. There you go, James. Hopefully that was helpful. BCM 704 or 705 or BCM 105 on the first one, which is from the Crime Junkie podcast. The second one, I am guessing Sennheiser E835. Last one would be an Audio-Technica microphone. Best of luck, and let me know if you find out directly from them, if you contact them and they actually get back to you. Next, we have an email from Visual, and they say, "Hi, Bandrew. My friend gifted me a microphone for my birthday recently, Perrin, the Razer Seiren Mini, but the problem is that I cannot monitor my audio. Is there something I can do or something I can buy in which I can use zero latency monitoring for my podcast?" Visual, thank you very much for the email. First thing I want to say is congratulations on getting that microphone. For the price, that is an incredible sounding microphone. Kinda killed the Blue Snowball because I think the Blue Snowball sounds like trash compared to it. They're the same price and they have the same feature set. I even think the Seiren Mini, it's been a while since I looked at it, a couple of weeks. I can't remember everything. I think it has a better A to D converter, or it may be limited to 16. Doesn't matter. That's irrelevant to all of this. For the price, great sounding microphone. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. There is nothing you can do there. There's no way for you to get zero latency monitoring out of a microphone that does not have zero latency monitoring built into it. Reason being, no matter what you do, you're going to be sending your audio through the converter into your computer, and then you're going to be monitoring that output. So there is always going to be inherent latency in that, and there's no workaround for it. So I apologize for being the bearer of bad news, but there's nothing you can do there. You can try to limit the latency. You could try decreasing the buffer size in your DAW. You could maybe try, what are they called? A voice meter banana. I think those might allow you to do some monitoring, but no matter what, you are going to have latency. There's no way to get zero latency monitoring out of a microphone, a USB mic, that does not have zero latency monitoring built into it. Again, sorry, but that's the answer. Next, we have a video submission from Rodney. Take it away, Rodney.
Hey, Bandrew, Rodney here, and welcome to my world. And yes, I am swinging around a neat worker bee over here in this hand, and I don't know why I'm doing that. Anyways, I have two microphones. One is the Rode Pod mic, which I'm speaking through now for your audio listeners, and the other one is the neat worker bee. Now, I need the background rejection that I'm getting from a dynamic microphone, but I also need the sound quality that I'm getting through the neat worker bee condenser microphone. So I need to jam these two together somehow and come up with a microphone that gives me the background rejection here with the sound quality here. So I'm not spending all day fixing my audio like I normally have to do with this guy, the Rode Pod mic. And it has nothing to do with the quality of the microphone. It's a good quality microphone. My voice just doesn't sound that great through it. And so I have to do so much work and I'm lazy. So if you could help me, I greatly appreciate it. We love you a lot. Thank you for all that you do. See you later.
Rodney, thank you very much for the video submission. I want to start by saying you sound very good. Secondly, I have a question for you. Once you have created this template, once you have created the processing that you want, I'm not quite sure why it takes you a very long time to process future episodes, because you should have the template. You should have that saved so you can open up that file and then drop in your recording and export it without taking too much time to fine-tune it. And it sounded great to me, so I'm not quite sure why that's the case, why you need to take a lot of time to process it in the future. But as far as other options, the main suggestion I would have would be handheld condensers. The reason being is these microphones were designed to be used on a stage where there is a bunch of sound that is bleeding into the sides and the rear, so they are designing them to do a better job at rejection from the sides and the rear of the microphone, and that should be very beneficial to you. Up until now, I have been on the Rode M2, which is a $200-ish handheld condenser microphone, more of a mid-forward sound, but still very smooth, really great sounding. Let me switch to another one and let you hear that, and I am already breaking my rule. Now I am on the SE Electronics SE4400A. This is a multi-pattern, large diaphragm studio condenser microphone, and this costs around $500. I am currently on the super cardioid polar pattern, and that is why I'm recommending this. This is a multi-pattern mic, so depending on where the noise is coming from, where the background noise is getting into the mic, you can either do cardioid, where you would point the rear of the mic at the noisiest part, or if you have noise coming at about 150 degrees, I think that's what it would be, you could use the super cardioid and get two null areas on either side of the rear. Another trick that you could try with these condenser microphones is throwing on a low pass around 15 kilohertz, because most dynamic microphones don't do much above 15K, and you could reduce some of that noise that's above the 15 kilohertz range and do the high pass filter around 60 hertz, and you would be getting a somewhat similar roll-off character as a dynamic microphone, so that's another option. Now I am on a Lewitt MTP 950CM. Full disclosure, this was sent to me by Lewitt so I could do a review. I still need to get around to doing that. This is a $600 handheld condenser microphone, multi-pattern with a 1-inch capsule, absolute technical marvel, and here is how this is sounding. My gain is around 2 o'clock, and I am on the super cardioid pattern. This is just another option to draw from. You could do cardioid, you could do wide cardioid, or super cardioid, depending on what environment you're in and what sound profile you are looking for. It is very early, I apologize. It also has a high pass filter and a couple of other things. I can't remember everything that it does, but very technically advanced, $600 handheld condenser microphone. And we have one more that I want to quickly demonstrate for you, and I think everybody knows what it's going to be. And the last mic that I wanted to demonstrate for you is the Neumann KMS-105, another handheld condenser microphone. I absolutely adore this thing. I think it sounds great. I have heard it on podcasts. I think it sounds wonderful. I have used it on my podcast. I think it sounds wonderful. It is just all around a great sounding microphone and a good option, but it is $700. You're paying that Neumann tax, but you are getting a great sound out of it. So I hope that was helpful for you, Rodney. Best of luck on the decision. If you have already made a decision, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Let us know what you did to solve your problem. Did you get the noise rejection of a dynamic with the sound quality of a condenser another way, short of buying a condenser, or did you just stick with the processing that you were doing, or did you buy a new microphone? Let us know. Would love to hear from you, and best of luck. I will talk to you later. Now let's jump to another email. Next, we have an email from Ray, and the subject is, "Hi, what is a suggested vocal mic for under $500? I just wondered if you have a suggestion for a mic suitable for vocal recording, or if not new, an older mic to scout out for that would be great for lead vocal recording. I am finding this really confusing." Ray, that is a loaded question. That is an impossible question to answer. There is very little in terms of discriminating factors that you include, whether it be a dynamic, whether it be a condenser, whether it be a specific polar pattern. You don't give me any information on how I can limit down the possibilities of mics for you to select from. So I'm just going to list a bunch of mics that are under $500 that I think sound great. You are going to have to do a bit more research on what they sound like and determine which one is going to work for you, because at this point, It really comes down to just personal preference and the feature set that you personally need, which I do not know because you do not provide any of that information. Here is my list. Rode NT1, amazing sounding, pretty neutral sounding. Shure SM7B, a bit darker but very smooth, and a wonderful sounding mic if you're going for that. Aston Spirit, not my favorite, but a kind of bright and clear condenser microphone. Lewitt LCT 240 and 440 Pure, again, not my favorite, but more of a bright, clear, articulate, detailed sound if that's what you're shooting for. More for modern pop sounding stuff, I think. Sennheiser MK4, you get a little bit of that sound, a little bit of that Neumann sound, but lesser quality, kind of bright, but you can still get some really wonderful sounds, especially if you get right on top of the mic. Sounds great. Audio-Technica AT4040, again, that's going to give you the Audio-Technica sound. It sounds very good sounding mic. AKG P220, P420, definitely not my favorites. I was not keen on those, but for the price, pretty affordable and pretty versatile. And lastly, the Blue Baby Bottle, which is, I think, one of my favorite Blue microphones, if not my favorite Blue microphone, sub $1,000. I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of Blue microphones. Their XLR mics get much, much better than their condenser, but I think the Blue Baby Bottle is a steal for that price. If you do want more of a vintage sound, a darker sound, it's not overly modern, it's not overly crisp and stabby. It's not any of that. It's just a pleasant microphone to listen to. That's my list. Hopefully that helps you, but you gave me very little to go on, so I can't give you much. I can just list a bunch of microphones and say, hey, these fit within the budget that you outlined, and that's the only discriminator that you provided. Next, we have an email from Steve. I hope that helps. Let us know what you decide on, though. Ray, I would love to know what you landed on. Next, we have an email from Steve. This is less of a question and more of a recommendation, so I am going to read through this. It's going to take a while. It's going to be painful for all of us. Let's do this. Hi, Bandrew. I've been a regular listener for a few years. I thought I'd answer the question you replayed this week for an affordable alternative to the RX8 mouth declick plugin. I've spent so much time fine-tuning my audiobook narration that I've learned to visually recognize them and manually fix a variety of my own mouth clicks and plosives at the waveform level, and I wanted a tool that would combat them proactively. I tried installing RX8, but was immediately frightened, not just by the price tag, but the gaudiness of the interface and the number of mysterious files it seemed to be installing on my Mac's root level. I'm not sure whether RX8 requires a native companion app to enforce copy protection common to plugins, but I was bracing myself for that too. Instead, I want to recommend the Restoration Suite 2 from Acon Digital. The suite includes a plugin called D-Click 2, which, while apparently designed to mitigate the pops and clicks from vinyl records, effectively wipes out the majority of extraneous high-frequency clicks generated while I speak. I didn't realize until I'd installed it, but the same plugin separately and simultaneously recognizes and mitigates plosives. Mine are prominent, and I always felt I had to choose between accepting them and reducing the low end enough to affect my tone. Not only didn't I have to choose anymore, but I didn't even have to shop for an additional plugin. On top of that, the suite includes a capable noise reduction plugin, something I don't believe Logic Pro includes natively, and a declip plugin in which analyzes clipped audio and regenerates a non-distorted waveform. The entire set, unbelievably, costs $99. I happened to find it on the day they announced version 2 and during a sale, so I was delighted and have never looked back. The interface is slick and comprehensible, installation is smooth, and there's no separate app enforcing copy protection. For whatever reason, Acon Digital as a company seems quiet, and their site is understated. I suspect this collection might be something of a hidden gem. I hope the recommendation I'm an idiot. I hope the recommendation helps last week's listener from Germany and whoever else. Regards, Steve. Steve, thank you very much for the email and the recommendation. I will admit I have not checked this out. I know nothing of Akon Digital. If they have anything to do with Akon the singer, I guess it would have a K in there, A-K-O-N. Then I would be 100% on board because Akon's the hero the world needs or something. I don't know. I wanted to pass this along though because I had never heard of it. If anybody is looking for an RX alternative, $100 for that set of plugins, a D-click, a D-clip, that's amazing. That's amazing because D-clip is incredibly helpful for a lot of people because a lot of people don't know how to set their level properly. So thank you very much, Steve. If anybody uses this, let us know what you think in the comments on YouTube. Let us know how it works out for you and what your thoughts are. And lastly, we have an email from Snappy. They say, "Hello, Bandrew. This is SWA here. This may sound silly, but I was thinking multiple pop filters layered on top of each other could reduce plosives even more than just one. Could two cheapo pop filters layered be just as effective as an expensive pop filter, but for a cheaper overall price? I personally only use a single windshield as a pop filter, so if you could get your Please Bring Pizza Prontos ready, that would be very appreciated. SWA." Thank you very much for the question, and to be blunt, no, they could not. They could not be as effective as the more expensive pop filters. Now, let me explain, because I know somebody's already typing angrily. If plosives was the only component that we were talking about, then the answer would be yes. But where layering multiple, more affordable nylon pop filters falls short is in the acoustic transparency. That is why some of these pop filters costs so much money, because they develop this material or they have done research and found the proper material density to, I guess, maximize the plosive rejection while simultaneously avoiding any acoustical transparency, while simultaneously ensuring acoustical transparency. I don't know if I said that properly. So right now I am using the Hakan P110. This costs around $100. It is very expensive, but here is how it sounds. Please bring pizza pronto. Here is some, I don't know what pop filter this is, but as soon as I start speaking into this, I hear almost a sibilance start to appear. It sounds funky in my headphones. I'm not listening on the actual recording right now because I'm doing this live, but I hear some alteration to the tone. Please bring pizza pronto. And that's just with a single pop filter. If you add multiple of them, then that's going to exacerbate the character, the tone that is being added to your recording. So if the only component, if the only factor that we were looking at was plosive rejection, yes, absolutely. But when you're spending $100 on a pop filter, you are not buying it because it does an inherently better job at rejecting the pops, the gusts of air. It's because it still effectively rejects the plosives while simultaneously not altering the sound of the sound source in front of it. And when you are using higher end microphones, at least this is my thought process, when I am making microphone reviews, I need to ensure that I'm not altering the sound. And that's why paying $100 instead of $12 or $14 for a cheap Amazon pop filter is justified for me, because I need the audio that I am putting in front of the microphone to not be affected by the pop filter that I am putting in front of it. And it may still be affecting it, but as far as the amount of the effect, it is limited compared to the alternatives. So there you go. That is my response. No, they cannot. You cannot use multiple pop filters to get the same effect as the top-end pop filters, because you are not buying the top-end pop filters because they are inherently better at rejecting plosives. It's because of the acoustical transparency. And I think that's actually going to wrap up for today. I only had 6 questions in there. I apologize for missing 2 weeks. If y'all know what Area 51 is, I was at Area 52. All the UFO stuff, called me out. Government, hey, Bandrew, we need you to come hang out with your reptilian brethren. They aren't listening to us. Please, will you translate? Please, will you convince them to not destroy the world? And that's where I was. So I apologize for missing a couple of weeks. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I hope you have an amazing... I am an idiot. I do not know how to speak. And golly, this must have been a very short episode. But I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will talk at you. I love you. Have an amazing rest of your week, and I will talk to you then. Bye-bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.